Hey guys, got this little Blender add-on I've been sort of developing as a homework project to try and learn a bit of add-on scripting in Blender, and it's basically a generalized render presets tool, which started off as a way to spit out icons to a fixed directory at a fixed size to help us with stuff on clodhoppers, but it's developed into something a bit more generalised, which is cool. Yeah, so I should say the approach of it is to try and get reliable results using the sort of bare minimum number of settings. So obviously in the render settings you've got tons and tons and tons of options, but I'm just trying to pick out the bare minimum. You've also got loads of stuff that adjust the look, but I'm not including any of those because these are things that change on a per scene, per project basis, and you're more likely to have those set up how you want them anyway. So yeah, leave all that alone and just focus on things like the resolution, output, formats and stuff like that, and tools for naming what you're outputting. So let's go through just super quick. So it's reading in a JSON file, and in the JSON file is a bunch of dictionaries that have all the preset information. So I've got this one here called social media presets, which I'll add with the add-on on Discord. So just a quick way to get you started, but you can put any blank JSON file on your system and then link to it and start adding things in. So link to a JSON file, if it has presets in it, you'll get them listed. So you can just grab one of them. It'll tell you which one's loaded, mostly because it doesn't tell you in this drop down. There is another way to do that, which does tell you, but it constantly updates in the background, which could cause memory leaks and problems. So this is a more robust way to do it, but has that drawback. So single image or image sequence, that single image will remove some of these options just to make it more digestible. But also, if you're in single image, when you output a file, it won't have the number padding on, so you'll just get test.png, not test001.png. As an example, image sequences will have that numbering to help you put the image sequence together in another package in your compositor or whatever. Obviously, if you're using FFmpeg, then you're just going to get an AVI file, so you haven't got that image sequence. Yeah, so then these ones are all self-explanatory. You've got your resolution, the frame start, frame 2, frame step, if you want to play around with that. I've put that in because clodhoppers is sort of this stop motion animation project, and quite often it can be nice if you've got smooth animation to have a frame step of 2 to help give it that stop motion look. But I actually build that into the animation, so mostly I just leave it on 1. Focal length is the active camera. So again, that's just saving you dig into the camera, coming down here and changing it here. So it's just hoovering up a few settings around the scene to make things easier, more accessible. File formats, I don't support absolutely everything at the moment, so if you are picking any of these AVI options, you're not really going to get the correct settings for colour modes and everything. So FFmpeg using QuickTime or MP4 will cover all of the social media stuff, so that's what I've focused on. Again, it's bare number of options to get reliable results. So output directory, you can just browse that and set it. All of these settings are stored in the JSON file, so if you load this preset in a new scene, it's going to have your output directory there. And in addition, these things are also stored as properties in the scene, and that's a way for the scripts to grab hold of data when it's doing its rendering. Yeah, I've got an add and update button here and a delete. If you want to add, just make sure you're using a new name. If the name here is the same as any of these in the list, it will update the preset rather than create a new one. Maybe that's dangerous, I don't know, let me know. But if we just put one in here, test, and let's do something hideous. Yep, that's pretty awful. And then just hit add, and then it's added to the bottom. All the new ones get added to the bottom. If you want to reorganize them, you can open the JSON file in a text editor and then cut and paste the dictionaries about into the order you want. Yep, alright, so let's delete that. So if I hit delete, I get a warning. Do you want to delete it? Absolutely. Loaded preset then says select preset, and then we're back in, and also you see the test has been removed from that list. So each time you add or update or delete, it's also writing back to the JSON file on the disk. Lock camera to view. This is, again, it's a setting that's hoovered up from this view tab, which you usually use just to be able to frame stuff without losing the camera. If that's off, when you rotate the camera it pops out. Yeah, so I just put that there for ease of use. Naming stuff, you can just type a name. If you want to use the active object name, you can. I've got that camera selected, so it's picking up that. There is one limitation, which is when you change the active object. Oh, that is working now. What's the limitation? Oh, it's if you're using it in conjunction with a prefix. Yeah, that's it. So if you're using a prefix and then you change the active object, it doesn't update. You have to toggle it. So we want the shotgun. There we go. There must be a way to do that, but I don't know what it is at the moment. The prefix I've found useful just for naming convention stuff in Clodhoppers, so I can put UI icon head, UI icon body, etc. And then that linked with an object name gives me a nice sort of consistent naming convention, which is nice to have. And then if you turn the settings off, I've sort of kept the settings that are visible, I guess, are the bare minimum to use it. So if you change the preset, I've just got the frame I want to output here. And I think once you get used to your presets and what you're using, then you probably won't need to go into the settings at all. That's the idea anyway. So if we come back here and say let's just do first 15 frames of that. Where am I put out to? That's the videos. Oh yeah, nice little shortcut is if you press Alt, right click, you get to see your Explorer window. And yeah, so that's cool. So I don't want to call it all that, let's just call it test. So hit render. This render button goes blue, and that's the only indication that we've got that it's rendering, other than maybe a spinning wheel. I'm not sure if there's something safer to be done there. So let's open that up. And then we've got a little render. Yeah, so that's it. So yeah, let me know what you think, if it's of use, if it works. I should say I'm using Blender 2.83.2 the LTS version. I've not tested it really on 2.9, but if you are running that, it may work. It's not really doing anything too fancy under the hood, so it might just work there. Anyway, let us know. Cheers. Catch you later.